have to resort to eating children? Okay. What the actual hell? So, unlike San Diego, what do you mean? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another video. My name is Cari. We are doing another reading experiment, live reading reaction together. And I'm very interested in this one because this is a series that isn't as popular as the other series I normally cover. I try to do very popular series that perhaps you don't have time to read them, perhaps you've always been interested, but not quite enough to read it yourself. We can experience it together. This one's a little bit less well known. This is something I would consider more of a cult classic. It has a cult-like following. You saw the title, you know what the series is. I will be reading The Wolves of Mercy Falls. The first one is called Shiver, so I just consider it the Shiver series. The Wolves of Mercy Falls. This is by the same author as The Raven Cycle, The Raven Boys, which also has a cult-like following, but I think that that's much more popular than this. I believe that this one skews much more YA. I literally only know that this follows like werewolves, and I have heard about it literally for years. Like whenever I talk to people face to face about books and how like, yeah, we've been readers for forever and blah, blah, blah. Somehow this series tends to come up and people are like very committed to me reading it. Like again, these are friends in real life. They have looked me in the eyes and they have been like, Cari, you must. You don't understand. You have to read this series. So I'm very interested because for the majority of them, this is like a nostalgic series. And as we know, sometimes looking back, if you were to read a series now that you loved in the past, it maybe doesn't quite hold up. So I'm just really interested. It is autumn time. I find that the Raven Cycle is very autumnal to me. And I feel like werewolves, let's see if Maggie can pull a werewolf autumnal vibe for me because I would love that. I know I'm wearing a sweater. I've got the air conditioner blasting. It is still summer here, unfortunately. But let me read you the Goodreads. But before we fully dive in, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video. Thank you so much to Squarespace. Squarespace is where you can host your online presence. As you know, I've used it for a blogging platform for years, but with tools such as monetization, comment sections, you can set up email lists and like subscription membership services and things like that. You can build things like a community, a shop, etc. It's really so versatile. Also, they have incredible design tools. They have a really wonderful library of free themes, just endlessly updating that back end for creators that maybe they aren't necessarily very techy, but they want to set up a really beautiful website. You can do that in a couple clicks thanks to Squarespace. So if you are interested, you can head to squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch your website, you can go to squarespace.com/caricanread to get 10% off of your first website or domain. Once again, monetization, analytics, connect your social media accounts. The possibilities are endless. So thank you so much to Squarespace, and in we go to our story. Honestly, I feel so much safer when I see a book rating on Goodreads that is within the 3-star range. If it is above a 3.5, but it is below a 4, that's my sweet spot. That's when I'm like, okay, let's see what this book is going to be about. When it's in the 4s and I get my hopes up, no, I feel like that's a whole separate video I should make, is like, were there any books that actually had a proper Goodreads rating? Like if it's a 4 or a 5-star read on Goodreads, was it actually a 4 or a 5-star read in my opinion? It would be rare. It would be rare. So this Shiver, the very first book, 485,000 ratings, 25,000 reviews, sitting nicely at a 3.76, which makes me comfortable, okay? Genres, it's young adult, fantasy, romance, paranormal, werewolves, fiction, paranormal romance, ding, 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 ding. It won many awards. It came out in 2009. And it takes place in Minnesota. I'm just eating up these Minnesota books recently, looking at you, Abby Jimenez. So short and sweet, just like 3 small paragraphs. We're not going to talk about how the main character's name is Grace. We're not going to talk about Crave. Crave mention, and we're done, all right? No more. For years, Grace has watched the wolves in the woods behind her house. One yellow-eyed wolf, her wolf, is a chilling presence she can't seem to live without. Meanwhile, Sam has two lives. In winter, the frozen woods, the protection of the pack, and the silent company of a fearless girl. In summer, a few precious months of being human, until the cold makes him shift back again. Now, Grace meets a yellow-eyed boy whose familiarity takes her breath away. It's her wolf. It has to be. But as winter nears, Sam must fight to stay human, or risk losing himself and Grace forever. Not what I expected, but I'm not mad about it. So this is definitely like a summer but winter is coming kind of vibe, which puts us, if my calculations are correct, quite close to autumn. So I think it will be funny to read a book about characters dreading the onset of cool weather when I am sitting here like begging for it. Also, this is something interesting. You guys asked me to also read the Scorpio races. I actually did start it. I think for a plethora of reasons, it just didn't click with me at the time. I will try it again. It is a very interesting phenomenon with all of her books. I have read the first book, or at least a significant chunk of the first book in 2 of her 3 series, and they have not hit on the first read. It isn't until I go back for a second read, sometimes years later in the case of the Raven Cycle, that her books hit. So we will see. For Shiver, I'm going to try and push through even if I don't love it. I also find that her stories tend to really need to be read in full. I think that why the Raven Cycle, when I just read the Raven Cycle and I was sort of like, it was good, but I'm not going to continue. Having now read all 4 books, you can't read one and not the other. You have to just fully dive in. So I'm going to give Shiver a shot regardless of how my feelings are going to be, and I'm going to try and read the second one. So there are 3. Okay, so there are 3, but it looks like there is potentially a novella or something afterwards. We have Shiver, Linger, and Forever. The ratings stay consistent the entire way through. They are all a 3.8, either rounding down or rounding up. Yeah, let's do it, okay? The Wolves of Mercy Falls. Yeah, werewolf time. Here we go. Okay, hey, real quick, because my air conditioner is on and I can hear the buzzing in the background. We're gonna start. I'm gonna read you the first page. It says it is 402 pages. Here we go. Oh, it gives you temperature. So I assume it's dual POV, and it says chapter 1, Grace, and then it says 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Make me chilly, Maggie. Make me chilly. Okay, 15 degrees Fahrenheit, which I will put it here. Okay, Celsius. Cold. Minnesota cold. Okay. I remember lying in the snow, a small red spot of warm going cold, surrounded by wolves. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. They were licking me, biting me, worrying at my body, pressing in. Their huddled bodies blocked what little heat the sun offered. Their careless teeth ripped at my sleeves and snagged through my hair, pushing against my collarbone, the pulse at my neck. I could have screamed, but I didn't. I could have fought, but I didn't. I just lay there and let it happen, watching the winter white sky go gray above me. One wolf prodded his nose into my hand and against my cheek, casting a shadow across my face. His yellow eyes looked into mine, His yellow eyes looked into mine while the other wolves jerked me this way and that. Then he was gone, and without him, the other wolves closed in. I was dying. But I didn't die. I was lost to a sea of cold, and then I was reborn into a world of warmth. I remember this, his yellow eyes. I never thought I'd see them again. That was chapter 1. Oh, so the wolves aren't good. Okay, well, hold on. I'm not going to read you the whole book because that's illegal, I'm pretty sure. But let me just read you chapter 2, which is in Sam's POV, and I'm only going to read the first part, okay? Chapter 2, Sam, same temperature, same day. They snatched the girl off her tire swing in the backyard and dragged her into the woods. Her body made a shallow track in the snow, from her world to mine. I saw it happen. I didn't stop it. Oh my god, the wolves eat well, I mean, the wolves do wolves eat humans? I mean, I don't think so, but they attack them. Damn. So wait, the wolves eat human Okay. Apparently it was a rough winter. Apparently they have to resort to eating children? Okay. Let me pause you. I gotta read. No. Also, he works in a bookstore. So, I love him. Oh no, stinky hair strikes again. These poor monster boys and their heightened sense of smell. Okay, quick update. We're only on page 14, but we're on chapter 6. The chapters are really short, really quick. Definitely does read YA, definitely does read a lot younger than the Raven cycle, but it's making it very easy to read. So she gets attacked, right? Sam stops the attack. 6 years later, our story is starting. Originally, nobody knew that the wolves were werewolves, but apparently one other kid got attacked and then killed. Grace reminds us, looking at the evidence, it's possible that he just died of natural causes and then later the wolves ate them. So keep that in mind. But so she has spent 6 years, they never moved. So 6 years in her same house, and every winter she would just see this same wolf with the yellow eyes, just watching her, she felt like kind of looking over her. She tried to make contact with him, but he's a wild animal. She didn't get too close. But now she's talking about the other wolves, and she mentions, she's like, there's this one wolf that is only visible in the coldest of months. His body seemed to be ill, and then because of the rolling whites of his wild eyes, he seems to also have a diseased mind. And she's like, yeah, I could see him attacking a human. I could see that one. And apparently there's one other one that is like a she-wolf, and she's like, yeah, that one too. That one could hurt a human too. But she thought that other than those two, the rest of the wolves were silent, beautiful ghosts in the woods, and I didn't fear them. So, but now that this one kid has died, the whole community is kind of freaked out. I don't know how they put it together that they're werewolves, though. I will have to keep reading, but yeah, so far, interesting. But I feel like for some reason it reads even younger than Scorpio races. I have a feeling this could be a really easy comfort reread. I feel nostalgic for it without ever having read it. Does that make sense? And I'm only on page 15. So here we go. Okay, so she ends up coaxing the wolf out of the woods with a piece of raw beef that she was using to make stew. And she straight up asks the wolf, hey, by the way, did you kill that kid? And he makes a very distinctly not wolf-like face. He closes his eyes, and she says that she sees human grief on his face. And then she just approaches him, and he lets her pet him basically. But as soon as that happens, one of the wolves that she was yeah, that wolf will definitely kill a human one day. One of them came out of the woods, the she-wolf. And he immediately pushes her back into the house and guards her as the other wolf comes and steals the piece of beef that she put aside for him. But yeah, so now they've made contact. She also compared him to the family dog. She was like, yeah, petting him was as comfortable as touching the family dog. And I'm like, oh my god, this is a romance, but okay. Okay, I'm dead. So a little bit later that night, the white wolf, the she-wolf, comes back and is looking in her window, trying to intimidate her. And so Grace growls and snarls back at her, and the other wolf is like, what the fuck? And runs away. But but yeah, ooh, the atmosphere, the cold autumn winter atmosphere. Oh, it's real good. It's needed. Okay, my last random check-in. I promise. Basically, a police officer comes into school to like talk to the students and make them feel safe and blah 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 blah. And so the students are asking him like, "We heard rumors that the body got stolen from the morgue," and he's like, "I really can't tell you anything." And even the teacher is so nosy that she's like, "But please, it will just be closure for a tight-knit community." I love it when teachers are also like, "Give me the goss. Give me the goss, Officer Koenig." Okay, so it's making sense now. I know how she figured out that these were werewolves. Okay. She steps outside, as one does, in the evening, hears a scream. Screaming help. And she is like, that sounds weirdly like Jack. And remember, his body is allegedly missing from the morgue, okay? She runs out to the backyard and she like goes deep into the woods, and I just love how Maggie writes these just tiny, like the sounds. I'm so in all of her stories. So she's talking about, she's running through the woods and she feels really at home in the woods, and she feels like, she knows that it's not a sixth sense, but she feels like her senses are very heightened when she's in the woods. She finds the two wolves that are capable of killing humans, right? The black and the white wolf. And they are pinning this other wolf, a scraggly young male, to the ground. They're pinning him to the ground in a show of dominance. And when they all notice Grace, they all are like, they just freeze and they're just like, oh, what do we do? When the third, like youngest wolf twists his head to stare at me, her heart thuds in her chest because she knows those eyes. She remembers them from school. She remembers them from the local news. Jack, she whispered. Yeah, she's like, yeah, I don't think wolves, I don't think they have hazel eyes. And then she's just like, something in me is telling me that this wolf is human, which doesn't make sense. And so, hey, stop. And my pasta's ready, but the wolves run away, but she's like, damn, I think I know who that is. Hello, okay, wow. This book, flying by. We have a 20%, is that right? I guess so. A 20% update for you. Things escalated quite quickly because the boy who was killed / is missing / probably got turned into a werewolf, Jack. He's from a very rich family. His dad's like a big time lawyer, whatever. So pretty immediately he gets local law enforcement to agree to go kill all the wolves. So luckily Grace hears about this immediately and she runs out to the woods. She convinces the hunters that her friend is out in the woods taking photos. She's like, there's a girl there. You gotta stop. She manages to stop the hunters, but not before they shot her wolf, Sam. And something about like when you get shot, you turn into a human. I don't know. Anyway, she luckily manages to find him, brings him to the hospital because he's bleeding out of his neck, and he gets all stitched up, whatever. But then he immediately heals. He's like, listen, I needed a little help. Like the wound was really big. So like once they sewed me shut, my wolfy powers did the rest of the job. So we got to get out of here before they realize that I'm a freak, in his words. So off they go. He's very nervous because it's September, and depending on how the wind blows, it could get too cold and he could turn back into a wolf. And he really wants to hang out with this girl that he's been obsessed with for 6 years. So he's like, I'd really like to be human right now. So luckily Grace's parents are very absent. And so she's like, yeah, you can stay with me. It's no problem. But what we also just found out is that when she got attacked 6 years ago, one of two things are supposed to happen. Either she's supposed to be killed, or because she got bitten, she's supposed to be turning into a wolf too. And Sam doesn't understand why she's not changing. So that's where we're at currently. Isn't that strange? So yeah, there's definitely some word choices, some like not like the other girls, early 2000s feminism in here that like isn't awesome. But to me, like as horrible as that sounds, there's like a bit of nostalgia to it. I'm like, oh yeah, I read that when I was young. So not a perfect book, but I'm intrigued and it's going by so quickly. So I'm on page 78. I will continue. Oh no, so if they shift too many times, like if they are a wolf for long enough, they don't come back to being human. He's running out of shifts. Also, he definitely just composed lyrics. Apparently he plays guitar. I know this is gonna end badly. He immediately thought up of lyrics about Grace and did a play on the word spring. It was like, you're my summer, fall, winter. I want to spring into you. No, they just had their first kiss, which I gotta be honest, like, I get Maggie's doing her thing, okay? It's dual POV, and Sam, their voices are both very different, okay? The way that Grace kind of describes herself and her feelings is very different than how Sam receives Grace, I guess. I don't know. Grace seems very different in how Sam sees her. She seems very bold. And so, yeah, they have like an accidental like fumble kiss, like they kind of bump into each other, and then she literally is like, is that all you got? Which the Grace that I know wouldn't say that, but okay. So then they like actually have a proper kiss, and it's like whatever, like cute, except he's describing what's happening and he says, her fingers ran through my sideburns. Not your sideburns. Anyway, and yeah, now he's just composing lyrics all the time, and I'm just sort of like, stop. Test. Okay. Oh my God. I'm in a daze. 42% update. This is so, oh my God. This is absolutely an entire scenario I would have dreamt up like before going to sleep when I was in middle school. Like everything about this is just such like a middle schooler who was raised in the era of Twilight. This story would come to mind. So it's quite funny to read. Like I get it. Like now I'm very much cringing, but if I had read this when I was 13, I would be absolutely on board. What has been happening? The thing that bothers me about a lot of romances, this could be like a paranormal romance, this could be YA, this could be adult, etc., is when I'm not fully getting why these people like each other. It was just very like, he is a creepy, he just like watches her all the time. Like they've never had a conversation. They've just like orbited each other, him as a wolf, her as like a girl, and they've known, he's like a year older than her, just in case you're wondering. And like they've kind of just grown up together, like watching each other, one from the kitchen window, one from the woods. And within 12 hours of knowing each other, they're already like making out. And so I just, so that's just like one thing that's like bothering me. But basically what is happening is the like main wolf, the kind of, not the head of the pack, but like the father figure of the pack, he has now, we're pretty sure he's not turning back to a human anymore. He's just going to be a wolf. So there's no one there to help train or help welcome the newest member of the pack, which is Jack. And so Jack is kind of going crazy. No one has been in communication with him. It's also that like weird cusp of like going into the cooler temperatures. So he's apparently jumping back and forth between being a human and being a wolf. But when you're a wolf, you forget that you're a human. And when you become human again, you kind of have, it takes your brain a while to like snap back into it. So you have these like really fuzzy memories. Okay. So we're trying to find Jack. We're trying to get in communication with Jack. Apparently when he turned human, ran into his sister Isabel and like was able to be like, Grace knows. And then he turned back into like a wolf and ran away. So now Isabel's coming to Grace asking for help, and Grace is like, I just really don't want to be a part of this. I'm trying to figure out how to keep my wolf boyfriend alive. And twist upon twist, Grace is suddenly thinking back. She's like, you know what, Sam? It wasn't that cold the day that you got shot. Why were you a wolf? And we're kind of thinking, Sam has pretty much confirmed it. He thinks that this is his last year. Like once he changes this winter, he will change. He will never come back to being human. He hasn't told Grace that yet, but Grace is sort of like, but you were a wolf in summer. Like, why were you already a wolf? What if he already had his last change and something about the gunshot brought him back? I don't know. They also both have really tragic backstories. Like, Grace's parents are just like really, really absent, to the point where her dad almost killed her because he forgot her in his car on a hot day when she was very young. Okay, so that aside, Sam's parents tried to kill him because he was turning into a wolf and they saw him and they freaked out, and so they tried to kill him. So now they're both in jail with life sentences. Because they tried to kill him in a bathtub, he has like PTSD when it comes to bathtubs. So he was like changing into a wolf, and Grace thought, like, we got to get him warm. Let me throw him into a hot tub. And he like had a meltdown, and that was very scary. What else is happening? I think that's kind of it. Also, it's weirdly like, again, they're sleeping since the day that they met. They're sleeping in the same bed. And so now it's become like very Twilight-esque of like, Grace really wants to get more intimate and Sam is like, no, my battery is dying. Well, anyway, that was it. So I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go outside. But that's all that's happening is Sam is like, no, I'm not ready. And maybe he's going to morph and never come back. But there's 2 more books. So anyway, I'll catch you later. Bye. What the actual hell? So Beck, remember the kind of father figure that we talked about who is potentially gone missing? We think he is never coming back. He has changed for the final time. But something about Sam, like they have a pack house and things like that, and it's kind of sirens. It's kind of like the safe house, whatever. And when Sam goes back there, it's clear someone has been in and out of this house. So he's pretty sure that it's Beck. Goes back one more time just to check, and he runs into Beck, who's just returned from a trip to Canada. Why? And how is he human? And what's in the truck, Beck? Wouldn't you know, there are 3 kids zip-tied in the back of his truck. And he's basically like, listen, you're the youngest one, Sam, and we think that it's your last year of changing too. So who's going to take care of us? Who's going to keep the house I don't understand, because if they're wolves and they're always going to be wolves, they don't need a house stocked with soup. Like, what? Anyway, the logic isn't logicking, but basically Beck took it upon himself to infect these 3 kids to be like the young people who can still change from wolf to human, to like be their guardians, like take care of the house, take care of the property, because they can't trust humans to look after them. They need like a wolfy human. What? And yeah, that's what's happening. So just another fun layer. And it was Shelby and some other crazy wolf named Salem who changed Jack. That was not part of the plan. Jack is a crazy person. Really not nice human being. Really not nice werewolf. Okay, real quick. 80% update, 79% update. I'm talking to my phone. So much has happened. Jack has been caught or whatever by Olivia. And so Olivia knows that he's a wolf, and so she believes everything that Grace tried to tell her. And Jack is convinced that there's a cure because Grace was bitten and Grace didn't change. So he has now bitten Olivia in order to like use her basically as a hostage. Like, you need to give me the cure so that you can cure me and your friend. Also, Shelby broke into their house and tried to kill Grace. I think that's it. Sam is trying to like become buddy-buddy with Olivia, with Grace's mom, to try and get her to love her and be an actual parent, but it's not really working. But he did play her a song that he wrote about Grace, which was weird. Like, why not play it for Grace? But okay, that's all that I have. Okay, talk to you tomorrow. Oh my God. So they finally found Sam. He was locked up in some shed or something, and Isabel, Jack's sister, helped get him out. They're driving. He's like, I think this is really it. Like, I don't know how much longer we can keep keeping me warm. I need to go see Beck, even though I'm mad at him because he changed those kids into werewolves. I need to go see my, like, the closest thing I have to a dad before I potentially, like, am not human anymore. So they start driving to Beck's house, and they get in a car accident. They hit a deer and they go off the road, and like the engine dies and all this stuff. So obviously the heat turns off and he turns into a wolf. By the time the paramedics arrive, he's gone. Okay, and they're still trying to find a cure because remember, Olivia got infected by Jack because he was like, I'm going to use her as leverage to get Grace to give me the cure that she doesn't have. But she's thinking when she was little and got bit, and then her dad freaking left her in the car to cook and she survived somehow, she thinks that maybe that killed off whatever like switching thing was going on with her. That's why she hasn't turned into a werewolf. So she's like, in order to save my friends, I'm going to give them meningitis to give them a really big fever. And maybe that will like burn it out of them. Anyway, also Jack's sister Isabel is 100% that one Chanel from Scream Queens, or like everything that Emma Roberts plays, like every single character that she plays. But yeah, now we're gonna go give everybody meningitis because that sounds like a fabulous idea. There are 20 pages left, but they injected Jack and Sam with meningitis, and Olivia was like, yeah, I'm gonna let the boys like figure this out, and if it works for them, you can like infect me, you know? So Sam somehow manages to turn himself into a human for like 10 seconds for Isabel to be like, and then he turns back into a wolf, runs away. We don't know where Sam is. Jack dies. He dies of meningitis. So, ruh-roh. And Olivia is like, you know what? I've always been kind of shy. I've always kind of like not enjoyed being with people, and I'm actually feeling really good about this whole pack thing. I just kind of want to let go. I kind of want to become a wolf. And so she's like, see you next spring, Grace. Catch you later. She wrote a little note to her parents that she's running away, and now she's gone. So, okay. And then also, we get this whole explanation that Beck turned Sam into a wolf. Like, apparently the 3 kids that he kidnapped, he didn't really kidnap. They came willingly, which, questionable consent, blah. But Sam, he just, like, kidnapped. He was like, listen, I really wanted a kid. My wife died of cancer, so I couldn't have a kid. And I saw this baby Sam with his cool wolfy eyes, and I was just super into that. And his parents seemed like shit, so I just stole him. And he regrets it, but he's also like, I kind of don't regret it because Sam's great. All right, so now it's very cold. It is 22 degrees. It is November. And, oh, excuse me, I only have 10 pages left, so I'll be right back. Shiver is done. Shiver is done. Okay, what happened? We basically just get very early 2000s core multiple POV, like each chapter is maybe 2 sentences, you know, like I stepped out the door. I watched her step out the door. I walked down the stairs. I watch her walk down the stairs, like that kind of thing. Okay, so the last 10 pages were like 5 sentences. Anyway, what has happened? Months have passed. This happened in November. Now we're celebrating Christmas, and we are convinced that Sam is gone because no one has seen them. Like, even within the pack, he's gone. And yet, our very last back and forth POV, Sam is somehow in her backyard. And at first, it's like, is he in wolf form? But then he speaks. The very last thing we see is she just rushes into his arms and hugs him. And unless he has become a wolf that can speak, I think he's back to being a human. They didn't technically say arms. They said her arms embraced me. So who knows what she's hugging? Is it wolf? Is it boy? I also forgot to mention that he really likes poetry, and there is a scene in which he's reading a book of poetry and it's in German, and he like doesn't really speak German, but he's like, it doesn't matter. It's all about how it sounds. And so he just reads her a relatively long poem in German. And she's like, yeah, you're right. I like that. To be fair, he does translate it, and it does make sense. But yeah, so that's also there. There's like some Rilke. Is that how you pronounce his name? There's some poetry thrown in. Once again, just very like paranormal romance YA, early like 2010s, truly on brand. A wonderful little time capsule we have on our hands. Which means I will be starting book 2. Book 3 is coming soon to my library. Thank you very much. Let me look it up. Linger by Maggie. Here we go. This is lovely. This is, though, something about it, like, because I watched Twilight before my Seattle trip just to get in the mood, and also I was kind of sick, so I was just staying home. I've already, like, I can't do that again. That's like once every 2 years kind of thing. I can't return to Twilight. So this is kind of doing the same thing that Twilight would do for me, like getting me in the mood for autumn. This is very nice. So, oh no. I'm so excited to read this to you. So before I get into it, Linger, according to Goodreads, so Shiver, I think, had almost 500K ratings. This one only has border of 200K. This has 171,375 ratings at a 3.88, so pretty much the same as the first one. We still have 3 short paragraphs, but they start with a bolded... Let's just do it. The longing. Once Grace and Sam have found each other, they know that they must fight to stay together. For Sam, this means a reckoning with his werewolf past. For Grace, it means facing a future that is less and less certain. The loss. Into their world comes a new wolf named Cole, whose past is full of hurt and danger. He's wrestling with his own demons, embracing the life of a wolf while denying the ties of being a human. The Linger. For Grace, Sam, and Cole, and Sophia and Marcus, apparently, life a constant struggle between 2 forces, wolf and human. Actually, that is a typo. It should say life is a constant, but all right. All right, Goodreads. Struggling between 2 forces, wolf and human, with love bearing its 2 sides as well. It is harrowing and euphoric, freeing and entrapping, enticing and alarming. As their world falls apart, love is what lingers. But will it be enough? This is 362 pages. Oh, something that I forgot to mention. Did I mention it? That we killed Shelby? I think I might have mentioned that. But yeah, we killed Shelby. She's out. And I think it's all blurring. At the very end of Shiver, as they were driving, they were trying to like find some, anyway, they were like out and about and they like saw another wolf that they didn't recognize. And they were like, who's that wolf? I feel like that was Cole. It honestly doesn't matter. It was mentioned so briefly. Yeah, so we're going to read Linger, which, by the way, the cover that I'm looking at on here, not the one that I have, but this version, it says Linger and the dot above the I is like a blood spatter. I grew up in such an amazing time. Yeah, let's dive in. Let me read you. Oh, we have a prologue. Oh, ooh, interesting. Prologue. This is the story of a boy who used to be a wolf and a girl who was becoming one. Just a few months ago, it was Sam who was the mythical creature. His was the disease we couldn't cure. His was the goodbye that meant the most. But now it's spring. With the heat, the remaining wolves will soon be falling out of their wolf pelts and back into their human bodies. Sam stays Sam, Cole stays Cole, and it's only me, Grace, who's not firmly in my own skin. What? This is a love story. I never knew there were so many kinds of love, or that love could make people do so many different things. I never knew there were so many different ways to say goodbye. We also don't have temperatures listed on our dual POVs, our chapter headings anymore, sadly, because according to Sam, he has, quote, lost his lupine skin. He's trying to learn how to be a boy again, and he's got his job back at the bookstore called the Crooked Shelf. Okay, now Grace is turning it. Of course. Okay, off we go. I'm gonna make some lunch, and then into linger. Oh, wait. Duh. I don't know if I mentioned this. We kill Shelby, but we don't have Shelby's body. I'm sorry. Duh. Yeah, Shelby's body disappeared, and that's never good. Right. Okay, sorry. That's what you get for reading like right before bed. The plot leaks out even more than usual. So, okay, off we go. No big updates yet, but we have now switched to Russian poets. No more German. No. Too easy. As far as I know, he is reading it translated into English. I do not believe Sam also speaks Russian. But I would never underestimate this boy. Also, this is a spring book. We do not have, it is still not a summer book, which I'm grateful for. But yeah, now it is like a rainy spring. Okay. Okay, also, I don't know if this is like maybe just a Minnesota thing that you guys say foyer, but everyone I know says foyer, which is like the kind of entryway into a home. But I understand, like if someone says foyer to me, I'm like, okay, I know what you're talking about, but I say foyer. But apparently Isabel doesn't like that, and it's like a funny thing to say foyer. So now Sam also like low-key speaks French. Ooh la la. Yeah, Isabel 100% Chanel. What? So we have multiple POVs now in this book. So this is Isabel's POV. And she's like, yeah, it's super easy to be popular in a small town like Mercy Falls, unlike San Diego. What do you mean? All right, goodness me, we're already at a 25% update. I am on page 90. Yes, this is multi POV. We so far have Sam, Grace, but now we also have Cole and Isabel. What is there to say? What we learn about Cole. Cole is a 17-year-old, but ever since he was 16, he has been like a rock star. I think he's a keyboardist, some band that's like crazy huge, and he performs at all these clubs and he just gets super high all the time. And I guess because remember Beck said that he only changed kids that like wanted it, I guess. Unconfirmed, but Sam seemed to notice some scars that would indicate that perhaps it wasn't an overdose. Perhaps it was more of a suicide attempt for Cole, but we really don't know much about Cole. We do know that Isabel is now like BFFs with Grace, and she comes into her home one day, and Cole, because it's spring, right? So all the wolves are like jumping back and forth between wolf and real person, whether it's a cold or a hot day, whatever. So Cole apparently turned into a human again and was like, wow, I'd really like some clothes. So he walked into Isabel's house because the door was unlocked, and he's naked, and Isabel walks in and is like, hello? And then Isabel's mom walks in and is like, oh my God, what's going on? And instead of having her mom call the police, Isabel was like, what do you think a naked boy's doing in my house, Mom? Give me some privacy, please. And that just like set the scene. I think they're gonna fall in love. It's she gives him some of her dead brother's clothes and then inexplicably just starts making out with him because she had feelings about her brother that she hasn't sorted through, and seeing his clothes on someone else, she just got really emo. In order to suppress those feelings, she kissed a stranger who she knows is a werewolf, by the way. She knows. What else? We found a dead werewolf? In Isabel's backyard. It doesn't look like, we think maybe he died of natural causes. He has like a nosebleed maybe. And that's it. So we're trying to figure that out. What else is going on? Obviously, there's a police investigation into where the hell Olivia went because she left a note saying that she ran away. Grace has been like sending emails pretending to be Olivia, being like, I'm okay. I'll be home once it's warmer. Like, girl, just chill. What's another issue we have? Oh, and then also just kind of the overlying issue is that Sam is still not convinced that he is cured. He is still he's just waiting to wake up from this dream. He's like, he doesn't believe it. On the other hand, we have Grace, who's been suffering from weird headaches and the tiniest temperature, but like really bad headaches. And we're thinking she's got issues the other way. And the whole thing is like, why can't they just become wolves and live happily ever after? Because wolves have compared to humans, a very short lifespan. You've got about 15 years after you finish changing. So that would be, Sam would be what? 31? 32? So not ideal. And you also can't talk. You just have these vague, like you can send picture thoughts to each other. Is that all that's going on? Something I didn't mention from book 1 is that John, Olivia's older brother, definitely had a crush on Grace. Now that hasn't come up. We've seen him once since then, and he was just like a normal big brother worrying about his little sister. But yeah, I feel like that's gonna come up. I think that's it. And Sam wants to like become Beck. Like he wants to help the new little wolves, his little pups. But he's freaked out by Cole because Cole doesn't seem to be like nervous about being a wolf. Cole seems to be very fine with his wolfiness. And Sam is like red flag. Oh no. So that's where we're at. I'm on page 90. And we also have the tale as old as time. What happens to young high school couples when college rolls around? Grace is a mathematical genius. And according to Sam, he's just a boy that likes moody poetry. And he's like, I just don't think we're gonna go to the same school. So we also have to cross that bridge eventually. And Sam is still sleeping at her house every single night. Just sleeping. She needs us to know. That's what's going on. Okay, I'm going to keep reading a little bit. I just don't know where this is going to go. What if Grace has meningitis? No, like very slow moving meningitis. I'm not even going to guess. All right, on we go. Okay, no huge update currently. It's just a lot of Cole and Isabel flirting, and Grace's fever is getting worse, and so she like screamed during the night, and her parents, for the first time in like her entire life, actually rushed in to check on her in the night and found Sam. And so now Sam is not allowed in the house anymore. But what I popped in, we're at 37%. What I popped in to say is that Cole just told us that his dad is a mad scientist, a very good one, and I bet you he has something to do with the whole werewolf thing. I'm just saying it. Page 135. Big ol' guess here. So 72% update, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. This is like a good place to pause. Book is going by really fast because nothing is quite happening. Sam is baking bread. There were like 2 chapters dedicated to him baking bread, and it's basically just Grace knows that something is wrong, and like everyone around her is noticing. Even Isabel is like, yeah, you smell like a wolf. So we know something's gonna happen, but we just don't know what. And she's still grounded, so she can't see Sam until she snuck out, because for his birthday she bought him like studio time at a recording studio, so he's gonna go sing his songs and record them. While he's at the recording studio is when he notices a poster of a band, and he's like, damn, the front man and the drummer, they look really familiar. And he asks the person working at the studio, like, hey, what's that guy's name? And she's like, oh, you mean Cole? Yeah, he's been missing for months. Everyone's looking for him. And Sam is like, fuck, because of course Beck would turn a famous person into a werewolf, because now everyone is looking for him. And then in Cole's POV, we've already had like a couple fangirls notice him at the coffee shop. So of course people are gonna try and find him. Of course they're gonna find the wolves. It's gonna be a whole thing. That's pretty much what's going on right now, is like, oh shit, now we're gonna get caught. It's still unclear of like why Beck needed to infect people anyway. I think that's it. We've completely forgotten about Olivia. Like, it's warm. It's warm enough that Olivia should be like defrosted and like a human again, but she has not been mentioned for like 150 pages. I don't think, like, no one is thinking about her. No one's like, gee, I wonder. So, okay. And anything else? I guess that's it. Oh, and another person that Beck changed is Victor, who is the drummer of Cole's band. And he apparently has some kind of pituitary gland problem, which may or may not be causing him to have a really rough time. Like, if he turns back into a human, he's only human for like 10 seconds and he goes back to being a wolf, which is very uncomfortable. So he has to like remain cold to stay a wolf. I think that's it for my updates. I'm gonna go to sleep and I will catch you tomorrow. And then hopefully whoever the heck has the one copy of the last series, the last book in the series out from the Philadelphia library, hope you return it because I need it. Thank you. Okay. Good night. Okay, I just decided to read straight through. I had like 60 pages left, maybe 100 pages left. Anyway, we're done with Linger. So, what has happened? This whole Cole character is really bizarre. We spend just a lot of time, like, really, in the grand scheme of things, nothing of importance, nothing actually really happens in this book. We just have Grace's illness getting worse and worse and worse. And then we have the introduction of Cole, and Cole just like wants to die. The whole book, he just really wants to die. And so that's it. Sam and Grace are working on that, and Isabel and Cole. Isabel's just trying to keep everyone alive. Honestly, Isabel is just in the background watching Sam, Cole, and Grace fall apart, and she's just like, get it together, people. This is embarrassing. Like, she literally tells Cole that like his little suicide attempts are pitiful. Like, this is very, I'm sure other creators have probably talked about this much better than I can, but early 2000s and then like 2010s young adult literature, especially, I'd say like mid-aughts to the 2010s, we really had a fascination with like addiction, drugs, self-harm, etc. Those were like all of the popular books, a lot of just like death and dying in general. And so for me, reading this as someone with a history of I was raised in that time, the way that they're talking about like suicidal ideation is like not weird, but I feel like if this were published now, I feel like it would raise some eyebrows. But yeah, he just very much is just like, man, I'm a screw up, what's the use living, kind of thing. So we're dealing with that. Things that happened since I last talked to you. Victor was killed. Isabel's dad is very much like, the wolves ate my son, I'm gonna kill them all. So anytime a wolf comes onto his property, he's gonna kill it. And Victor, Cole's friend, who he somehow convinced to become a wolf, I don't fucking know. Victor got killed. Victor's dead. Okay? We also get a long story that Cole's trying to convince Isabel that like he's a bad guy. And so he talks about how he cheated on his first girlfriend when he had his first girlfriend, and then they went on tour and he just slept with a different girl every city, multiple girls, another club, and he like came home and told her and was basically like, yeah, I've seen it all, enough to know that you are nothing special. And this is Victor's little sister, might I add. So he's like, yeah, I'm just not a good guy, Isabel. You don't want to mess with me. And Isabel is like, literally, tell me something I don't already know. And yet I'm still here. Okay, I know you're a piece of shit. And yet, however, curious, it was kind of mentioned, I think in the very beginning of this book. This book feels like I've been reading it forever. In the very beginning, there's a scene, I think it's the first scene, where Sam is at work in the bookstore and he like doesn't feel comfy being alone with Isabel. Like Isabel walks in and immediately just like picks up Sam's coffee and is like drinking it as if it's her own. And Sam very specifically is like, I don't want to drink out of that coffee cup because that might send Isabel a message, like if we're sharing a cup. So Sam feels it, and then there's some kind, Isabel and Sam get into like a fight because Isabel's like, why the fuck aren't you're the leader of the wolves now, Sam. Why aren't you paying attention to where the fuck Victor was? Like Victor shouldn't, everyone knows if you step on my land, you die. Why are we not telling the wolves that? Like, anyway, stupid argument. Something about the way that they were fighting, both Cole and Grace were like, yeah, does Isabel have a crush on Sam? Is that weird? So there's that going on. What else? We also find out that Grace just like leaves her house. She's like, I'm done being grounded. My parents suck. I'm gonna go live with my boyfriend. So she's living with Sam. Nothing like steamy happens because the whole time she is bleeding like a faucet through her nose. Not good. So we finally take her to the hospital. She's gonna die. She's throwing up blood. She's throwing up more blood that they can pump back into her. She has hours, possibly. This is when Isabel walks in and she's like, you guys, her whole thing is like, everyone is being really reactive. She's like, no one's being proactive. Let's get a step ahead of this. And she finally sits down and she's like, Cole, you've got a big brain under that rock star disguise. He inherited all of his dad's mad scientist skills. So she basically hands him a napkin and a pen and is like, solve this. And what Cole comes up with is that, and he's like, and I want you to know, like, this is the science, this is just a theory, okay? He's like, not backed up by anything. But here's my theory. He thinks that something went wrong with Grace not being able to shift. Like basically the shifting itself isn't dangerous. Like that isn't the disease that causes werewolfdom or whatever. The shifting part of it isn't the worst part. Something about the toxin itself is killing you anyway, and like the shifting is what helps you. I don't know. Anyway, he's basically like, she is just like being cooked alive by this toxin that has been sitting in her body for like 7-8 years at this point now. She needs to shift, and the reason that she is like exploding blood out of every hole in her body is because she's trying to shift and she can't. So we need to somehow force her into a shift. Cole is like, why don't we just bite her again? Let's just give her more venom, and then maybe that will like tip her over the edge and she will shift into a wolf. Will she be able to shift back? Unknown. That's one problem. Problem number 2, if it doesn't work, she's gonna die anyway. So, number 3, that also means that whatever the fuck Grace did to Sam, he's also probably going to die soon. Like, there is no cure, you know? Like, because Sam isn't shifting, that is in itself hurting him. So he also is gonna die. So like best case scenario, Grace shifts into a wolf, shifts back, they live happily ever after until they're like 30 years old. And then either Sam dies or they both die, I don't know. That's like best case scenario. Also, Grace's dad punched Sam in the face, and that's all. So the book ends with Cole in the hospital biting Grace, and Grace shifts and jumps out the window. And Cole is like, don't worry, buddy, I'll go get her, and runs off into the woods to try and find Grace. Where's Olivia? Are we concerned that she's been missing? We just dropped that, like that. Rest in peace, girl, I guess. I don't know. So I am still waiting. I will probably get the 3rd book, the next book, in a couple days. So I'm gonna take a break from this, but incredible that this work came from the same author as the Raven Cycle. I actually was talking to a friend who is like, ride or die, like the Raven Cycle is the book. The series for them. And when I mentioned like, oh, have you read Shiver? They were kind of like, So good to know that I'm not just missing something. This is definitely like her first work. And it's of the time, you know? It's of the time. So yeah, I'm gonna go take a break and see you for forever. Sorry, I'm gonna record. I just spoke for about 60 seconds and my microphone decided, no, you didn't. So hello again. It's been a while because whoever has the one copy of the third book of this series out from my library, you can only keep it for 2 weeks, and somehow I've been on hold for more than 2. Anyway, the math isn't mathing. I was waiting for it to finally come in. I bought it. Watch the book come in tonight. $7 to finish this damn thing. We're gonna read Forever, number 3. This is technically a trilogy. I haven't looked at the 4th book yet because I fear there might be spoilers. I believe the 4th one is like an extra little novella thing. So I don't know if I'm going to read that, but just know that I believe it's supposed to be these 3. Questions I have, okay? Where the hell is Olivia? Why does no one care? Why did we have that weird tension with her older brother, Olivia's brother, that like clearly has a crush on Grace? Why is that there? Also, what's up with the crush? Is it Isabel? Did I make that name completely up? It's been like a solid week. What's up with Isabel's weird crush on Sam? Now Grace is a wolf. Will she be able to turn back? Is Sam's life still short? I just don't know. So here we go. The book is called Forever. I'll read you the Goodreads. Okay, we're at 125,000 ratings, 3.89. So all 3 of these are sitting at 3.7 to, this is almost 3.9, okay? In that range. Then, when Sam met Grace, he was a wolf and she was a girl. Eventually, he found a way to become a boy, and their love moved from curious distance to the intense closeness of shared lives. Now, that should have been the end of their story, but Grace was not meant to stay human. Now she is the wolf, and the wolves of Mercy Falls are about to be killed in one final spectacular hunt. Forever. Sam would do anything for Grace. But can one boy and one love really change a hostile, predatory world? The past, the present, and the future are about to collide in one pure moment, a moment of life or death, farewell or forever. This is 390 pages. What's up? Hold on, Maggie. Let's see your timeline. When did you write these books? Okay, so basically how it seems she wrote. I don't know about this fairy book, Lament and Ballad. They have like no ratings. That's crazy. What, did she ever come out with the 3rd book? What's the tea? Okay. Anyway, so she has this other, what? She never finished the series. Okay, so she has another series that's like a fairy book, and she wrote the 3rd book, and she apparently said she wasn't happy with it, so she took it back from her editor. And I guess Scholastic was okay with that. She says, it exists. I think I know how to fix it, but I'm not going to put it out without being happy with it. And I don't think she ever read, she never finished it. Someone left a review in 2019 being like, I've officially given up on this book and no longer have hopes for its release. What, Maggie? Anyway, so basically how it works is she wrote this series, Books of Fae, with like Books of Fairy with 2 books. Then she wrote Shiver, The Wolves of Mercy Falls, right after, like the same year as writing this book, Forever, which we're about to read. She released Scorpio Races, which to me felt very different. This feels very like I said, true to the genre. It is a YA paranormal romance. Scorpio Races felt very different from what I read. Again, I only read maybe 20% of it. Then right after that is when she starts releasing the Raven Cycle. So that's crazy how she switched things up. Anyway, let's dive in. Forever. Let me read you the first page. Let me see. The book that I purchased now on my Kindle. Wait, Oh, okay. It's been a while. I was like, who the hell is Shelby? Shelby is the wolfy girl that tried to kill Grace, and she like really wants to be a wolf, and she doesn't understand why other people don't want to be wolves, okay? So this is the prologue, and it's in Shelby's POV. Interesting. I can be so quiet. What? Hold on. Okay, Shelby found a girl in the woods and kills her, is how we start. Okay? Chapter 1, Grace. So now I'm a werewolf and a thief. She's like, yeah, it's a gorgeous day for a walk in the woods in Minnesota. If you weren't lost and naked, that is. Okay, we gotta go, read. See you soon. How oddly specific. Like, I know what she's saying, but like, Play-Doh snakes? Oh my god, and remember, when you're a wolf, you kind of forget everything when you were human. So who's that boy with the yellow eyes and the dark hair? That was... Oh, now you remember, Olivia. It took you turning into a wolf, losing your memory, and coming back to remember your best friend. Okay. All right. Immediately starting off with drama. So Grace is human. She steals some clothes from somebody's laundry, finds a phone. She's like 20 minutes away from home. Calls Sam. Sam and her are like, Sam immediately gets in the car, starts driving. By the time he gets to the parking lot where they're supposed to meet, all that is left of Grace are her stolen clothes. She turned back into a wolf. Also, Isabel, so this has been 7 weeks, 2 months, basically, that she's been missing. And for reasons unknown, Isabel and Cole are not speaking. And when Isabel went to call Sam about something, Cole answered and he hung up. So I don't know what's going on with them, but that's what's happening. Oh, I'm wrong. Isabel isn't talking to Cole. Cole has been calling her, but Isabel isn't replying. And so then she called and he hung up. I don't know. But yeah, he is no longer a bad boy. He just likes, let me go back. He just likes grilled cheese and a little vodka. That's all. We are breezing through this baby. 24% update. So Cole doesn't tell us what they are about, but Cole is doing research and experiments about the wolves, but he doesn't have a wolf to test anything on, so he uses himself. So when Sam comes back from not finding Grace, he finds Cole in wolf form on the floor of his living room. And Sam thinks that he is just mid-shift because he's like shaking, and turns out no, he's having a seizure because he injected himself with something. There's like an empty syringe next to him. He calls Isabel. Isabel comes over. She calls a vet. She's like, yeah, my dog's having a seizure. What do I do? He survives. Once he wakes up, Isabel's like, I'm out. I'll talk to you later, Sam. Sam's big issue, like other than his girlfriend being a werewolf, is that he hates living with Cole. Like, Cole is just super self-destructive and selfish. And so Sam is having a really rough time figuring out how to connect with him without sounding patronizing, and to get him to listen, you know? So they're kind of like not dealing with each other. Flashing back to Grace, Grace shifts again. She's back to being a human. She luckily is next to Isabel's house. So she runs into Isabel's room, gets clothes on. Isabel is like, hey girl, what's up? Just so you know, my dad is organizing an aerial hunt. Basically, they just found out that a girl was killed in the woods, which we know Shelby did. And her dad is still anti-wolf because his son was killed by the wolves. So he made a deal with the congressman in their area to take the wolves off the protective species list and get a bunch of helicopters and machine guns, and they're gonna kill that pack, okay? So yikes. We call Sam. Sam, your girlfriend's at Isabel's house. Come on over, you can finally see her. But wouldn't you know it, by the time he arrives, she has switched back and has to run back into the woods, which we just learned is the worst time to be a wolf in the woods, right? Helicopters, guns, okay? What else have we found out? Sam and Cole finally bond over their love of music. Cole finds Sam's demo tape and like makes fun of his song about Grace, but okay, so they're like getting a little bit closer. Grace is being like chased by a wolf. I don't know what's wrong. Grace is like near death. I don't know what's going on with this girl. She like keeps switching back and forth, and I think she jumps into a river. She jumps into a lake in order to swim and escape a wolf, but then she turns back into a wolf, and I guess her wolf self doesn't know how to swim. I don't know, honestly. And we finally find out, last thing, Cole finally tells us, what is he working on? Why is he injecting himself with shit? He's looking for a cure. Our little science guy. Also, weirdly, Sam decided to talk to, he like sees Grace's mom out and about, and she looks distressed, and like that was the day that the news broke that they found a dead girl in the woods. They haven't identified her yet. So he like runs to her and he's like, listen, I know you don't want to talk to me, but like, don't ask me how I know, but I know that that's not Grace. Like, your daughter isn't dead. And she's like, wow, thanks. Would you like to come into my art studio? And I just don't like, remember, she was like super flirty with Sam. Like, I just don't like, her name's Amy. I just don't like Grace's mom. So that's what we're doing now. Yeah, again, I feel like even though this like isn't the best series, I could see a 13-year-old self eating this up. Especially this one because it's so like action-based. I think the second one was a little boring because it was like throwing us all of these weird plot points, but now it feels like we're just wrapping everything up, I hope. So I might get dinner at some point. I might check in like the next day, but we persevere. Okay, the aerial hunt, no rednecks, is a go. I don't know what happened in Idaho. I don't know why we're talking about Idaho, but get out of the woods. Okay, so Sam and Cole somehow managed to find Grace. She was sinking. It wasn't just like a lake. She was in like a sinkhole of mud. I don't know. Anyway, Sam jumps in to save her and immediately gets stuck too. Cole manages to save both of them. She's still a wolf though, so they take her home and he shuts her in the bathroom. He's like, this is the worst thing I've ever done, but can't wait to see you. Ooh. Page 137 of the third and final book, Grace finally asks about Olivia. It's been 300, 400 pages since her name has last come up. And the answer is no. The answer is who? The lovers have been reunited, and there was an aurora borealis outside. So Sam drove her out there, and they had like 4 or 5 pages questioning, is it the aurora borealis or is it just the reflection of the Quickie Mart neon signs in the sky? But either way, it was magical, and apparently wolves don't have faces. Guys, the dead girl in the woods that Shelby killed, it was Olivia. She had turned back into a human and Shelby killed her. The Cole and Isabel dynamic is just so bizarre. All right, 74% update. Sam gets questioned, brought to the police station, not arrested, but they're like, listen, your adopted father is missing, your girlfriend is missing, your girlfriend's best friend was just found dead on your property. Let's start talking, Sam. Turns out the cop that was in, if you remember, the cop that was like, came to school to talk about the wolves, Kooning, I think is how you say his name. He's like a young guy. Anyway, he is like, I'll drive Sam home. After the questioning, he's like, listen, I'll take care of Sam. I'll drive him home. While they're driving, he's like, alludes to the fact that he suspects werewolves are a thing. And Sam is finally like, you know what? Screw it. Like, let me just tell him. He tells Kooning, he's like, okay, if we let the hunt happen, we're essentially committing mass murder. Like, all of those wolves are people, right? So I don't like that. Why don't we move them? Which is what we've been kind of playing with, but nobody's actually coming up with a plan to do so. Turns out Officer Kooning knows a place by like the peninsula. It's like a campground area where no people really go, and there's this old abandoned lodge that they could use. They go check it out. They figure that it's great. Now we just have to get the wolves to move. Cole, meanwhile, has found that yes, the werewolf infection is just like an infection, so we just need to figure out how to treat it. And anything else, everyone thinks that Sam killed Olivia. We also told Rachel that Grace is a wolf, just so she, like, all of her best friends aren't dead. And and Cole, this is breaking news, okay, I don't have any more information, but Cole, like I said, has been setting up wolf traps everywhere. They caught Beck, and we've got questions for him, because the more that Sam thinks about it, the more that Sam is like, yeah, you know, it is kind of fucked up that even though like his parents were maybe strict or like not necessarily loving, they didn't try to kill him until he became a wolf. Like, all of those really crazy parental actions weren't happening until Beck changed him into a wolf. So Beck's whole argument of like, I was saving you, blah, blah, blah. Like, from what? Like, from mildly bad parents? You changed me into a wolf and kidnapped me, and my parents tried to kill me, Beck. Okay, so now Sam is having he has daddy issues is what we're dealing with, so.
Also, don't you worry, Sam is still making bread constantly throughout this series. 83% update, drama. So, Grace goes back to talk to her parents. They replaced her with a cat because cats are quote unquote more low maintenance. She has tentatively agreed to move back home until she turns 18, just so her parents stop freaking out, but whatever. But then as she's driving back to Sam after talking to her parents, she shifts into a wolf. And then we get a call like later that night that they're going to start the hunt at dawn while Grace is still running around before they've moved the wolves. Fantastic.
And did I mention that they managed to turn Beck? They caught Beck, right? They managed to turn him into a human for a little bit because Cole seems to have cracked the code and kind of found the cure a little bit. So yeah, Beck was a human for a hot second, and that's that.
Okay, to catch you up, Sam runs after Grace, makes Cole give him the antidote, which essentially just makes you shift. It doesn't like cure you. So he shifts back into a wolf. Sam is a wolf. And he eventually finds Grace. He gets all the wolves together and they're going to start running to the safe zone. The only problem is, while they are running, Shelby randomly goes crazy, starts attacking Beck. Beck dies. In order to stop Shelby from going on like a bigger rampage, Cole starts to attack Shelby. And Isabel, by the way, is like racing in her car to get to the meeting place because she's like, I'm gonna apologize to Cole. I'm gonna tell him I love him, blah, 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 blah. As she's driving, she hears the whirring of helicopter blades. And sure enough, right where all of the wolves are collected, the helicopter arrives and starts shooting. And Cole falls. Okay, but they went to go pick up Cole's body and it's not there. It's not there.
What? What an ending. Okay, so, ooh, Maggie. All right, what happens is Cole is alive. Cole is alive. He had to go into the woods to, quote, regrow his spleen or something. So he calls Isabel. Isabel is probably moving to California because her parents are just like, fuck this place with the wolves. We'd rather live with coyotes. I don't know. So she's moving to California, but she tells Cole not to lose her number. Okay. But then we have our final scene is a scene with Sam and Grace, and she has decided to take the meningitis blood thing. So it turns out Cole's pretty sure that the meningitis did cure Sam, and he might switch a couple more times, but like it's gonna even itself out and he's gonna be okay, allegedly. Grace is gonna do that too, okay? Wait, I don't get it. But where are you going? She asks Sam, what will you do while I'm gone? Like, where is she going? Is she gonna turn into a wolf because of the meningitis shot? And then it will even out? I don't know, but Sam just says, I will miss you. And then Grace closed her eyes and let herself breathe in the scent of the trees once more. This was a goodbye. Grace, Sam said, and I opened my eyes. He reached out his hand to me. That's how it ends. So we never find out if Cole was right, if that was the cure, if it will even work on Grace. What? And then the fourth one, okay, hold on. I gotta use my computer. Let me switch cameras. Okay, madness. Finished the book. I don't love that it left so many things unanswered, but I feel like this book was better than the middle book, though. I will say I think that at least it was solid until the ending. But let me read to you what the fourth one is about. I'm not going to read it because this is technically the end. There is actually an author's note at the end of Forever where Maggie says, like, goodbye Mercy Falls, like this is the end. She wrote the fourth one, which is called Sinner, 3 years later, and it follows Cole. So let me just tell you also, oh my god, the cover. All right, so this one has 24,000 ratings and it is also a 3.87. I'm just gonna read it to you. We're not gonna read the book together, but here's the Goodreads. Found. Cole St. Clair has come to California for one reason: to get Isabel Culpepper back. I think that's how you say her last name. She fled from his damaged, drained life and damaged and drained it even more. He doesn't just want her, he needs her. Lost. Isabel is trying to build herself a life in Los Angeles. It's not really working. She can play the game as well as all the other fakes, but what's the point? What's there to win? Sinner. Cole and Isabel share a past that never seemed to have a future. They have the power to save each other and the power to tear each other apart. The only thing for certain is that they cannot let go. Oh no. So I'm not reading that one, but it exists. If you're interested, let me know if you've read it, what you think. That was an experience. I can absolutely see why this is a nostalgic book series for people. Again, if I had read this when I was 13, I think it would have really taken me. I don't know. I feel like the first one was better, especially because of the temperatures on each chapter heading, because I could understand, like, oh, I should be afraid right now because it's cold, they're gonna change. I feel like once she dropped that and it became a kind of ambiguous time, I was never sure when to be like really nervous. That kind of suspense and fear was kind of gone, because it would be like, oh, we'll just turn the heater up. They could be affected by like the air conditioning. And then by the end of it, she ended up she would change because of her emotional state, you know? So it became a little bit vague in terms of when they would be changing or shifting. I don't know. So overall, it was an experience, and I get it. Just in a 2024 reading experience, not so much. So, but yeah, that's The Wolves of Mercy Falls. Let me know your thoughts. I love that Sam never really had a huge touch her and die kind of feeling, that a lot like Patch of Hush Hush, Edward of Twilight, those kind of paranormal romance boyfriends. Sam was just kind of like, I like can't function without Grace, and I just want to read poetry and write songs and make bread. He also like wasn't the alpha, like he wasn't the strongest wolf, he wasn't the smartest wolf, he was just like a damaged kid, and I appreciated that. Actually, yeah, that's my story. I never understood Grace. I feel like we never actually understood her as a character. She was an odd one, but aren't all teenage girls odd? I was. So those are my thoughts. That was my experience with Shiver. Let me know. I got a lot of good recommendations from you guys of what you want me to read next, but I think the most common ones have been the Fallen series and the House of Night series, which I intentionally have not looked up either of those. So let me know if those are worth doing a funny little deep dive into, and I'll catch you guys later. Okay, so thank you as always to Squarespace for sponsoring this. Once again, linked down below. You can go to squarespace.com/caricanread to get 10% off of your first website or domain. I've seen people use it for portfolios, art projects, community projects, online zines, etc. Do it. Have fun. And yeah, thank you to Squarespace. I'm gonna go now. It is still hot. Still summer here. I have no fear of turning into a wolf today, that's for sure. But yeah, excited to chat down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!